Hello, I'm back again with another video, much to everyone's disappointment. Today I'm looking at another old PC, probably from the late 1990s, I guess. It's an old Pentium system, tiny computers, which was I think it was a fairly cheap company around that time. And they made, well, they built systems that were generally quite a lot cheaper than a lot of other companies. Although I do think they went through periods of producing some pretty crap systems that had a lot of problems. This has just got same old sort of thing, floppy drive, Cd-Rom drive. This looks like same sort of drive that was on another system I looked at. Again, the casing on this is yellowed quite a lot. The plastic, especially on the top here, this is pretty awful on this side. A bit battered. On the back, what have we got on the back? Not a lot. So this is not an AT system, so it's not your sort of early 90s, mid 90s, a lot of them were still AT. And we've got VGA and then a sound card of some sort, and that's about it by the looks of it. No network card. So this case is one of those where it slides forwards and then you can lift it off. It's all one piece. So we'll have a quick look around what's inside on this machine. It's a bit dusty, so this is going to need a blast out of the air compressor. So what we got? That's meant to be a Pentium system. It looks like down here we've got a socket 7 CPU socket, I think. That's difficult to see down there. We've got DDR memory, EDO by the looks of it. It's got a 16 meg EDO SIM on it, and it's also got some of the older 72 pin connectors along the back here, so this would have been a good machine for upgrading, so you'd be able to probably pull some RAM from your old system into this. I imagine you'd be able to use them and one or two of these other banks, perhaps not all of them. Usually that's how it works. Or maybe you'd only be able to use one or the other, depends on the board. We've got PCI slots, no AGP, so this is probably a bit older than another board that I looked at recently, another Pentium system. We've got the ISA slots. We've got a date on there, Ward BIOS 1997. You can't see that down here. That gives us some idea of a date. The sound card, ESS audio drive. I've not heard of that before. Looks like it's got an unusual chip there. That's quite a chunky chip, that. A bit like the chips you'd get on graphics cards, but a bit bigger than that, so I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look what that's all about. Sound card. And the graphics card is a PCI based S3 card. You can see up there. I'll take these out in a minute and we'll have a look. Well, I'll blast it out with the compressor first. And then it's a very small heatsink and fan on the processor. These older Pentium systems didn't really have much in terms of cooling, as you can see. Very small heatsink. We'll whip that off and have a look what's in there. And then we've got a hard drive tucked down here. If that's a Seagate, looks like it might be a Seagate from the casing. And manufacture date November 1997 on the Cd-Rom drive. So again, that gives us an idea date wise. The motherboard, you can see hopefully down here, get some more lighting on. It's an MSI MS5158 version 1. And we've got all the IDE and floppy connections on the board. Again, most of the Pentium systems will have had this on board. I think all of them, perhaps. We've got the ATX power connector down here onto the main board, and a whole pile of dust. So I'm going to take this outside, give it a bit of a blast out, and we'll take it from there. So that's all been dusted down now, so I'm going to just take these cards out and have a bit better look at what they are. The graphics card and the sound card. The usual, I always used to do this, used to gunk these connectors up with hot glue to try and help keep them from falling off. You do it a lot on the IDE and floppy cables as well. So here's the sound card, which is upside down. I don't recall hearing of one of these before, but a large chunky chip there. Anything on the back? Oh, sound. Well, that's I think we figured that one out. So just your usual line in, speaker or line out, mic input, and MIDI gain port. And then the graphics card, which is a PCI card. The sound card was an ISA card. This is an S3 Verge chip of some sort. S3 Verge DX. I don't know how much RAM this will be on here. We've got 8 chips. 256. So 16. So who knows? Could be half a meg, possibly. VGA. Yeah, so there's no indication of what memory's on here, really, none that I can see. I'll get these drive caddies out next. So there's a screw on the front here. That looks at it for the CD-ROM drive. 2 screws. Different screwdriver. And just going to disconnect the cables at the back. We've got an audio cable, IDE and power. There's a CD-ROM drive. I don't know what speed that is. Nothing really indicating the speed on there. I mean, for this age it could be a 2-speed. I see this has got some rails mounted to the side, and then they slide into the PC. Some of the older cases used to work like that. I'm assuming that this caddy for the drive, floppy drive and the hard drive will come out if that's unlocked. Yeah, again I'll disconnect the power and data cables if I can. It's got some hot glue on it, which is making it difficult to. Probably the one time that hot glue's actually stuck something together, because usually it doesn't. So that's this typical metal cage that everything's mounted in, and then you just slot that in and mount it to the system. This is an interesting drive. This looks like one of the similar design, Panasonic Matsushita. So some of these drives are actually convertible to work on an Amiga by being modded. and it does look like it's one of those floppy drives. Interesting. I've already got 5 though, so I don't necessarily need any more. Let's have a look what the hard drive is. Sounds like there's something loose in here. Maybe the floppy drive's broken. Let's just get this hard drive out before it slides out. Also, it's a Fujitsu drive. November 97. No, not really sure what size that would be. Maybe that is in the model number. It could be. Well, I don't know. Actually. And yeah, older style hard drive PCB. They've got barely anything on them now. 1 or 2 chips at the most usually. Not like these older ones. And on here, your jumpers for setting your slave and your master settings. Sounds a bit dodgy, that. Let's try a floppy drive in it. Floppy disk. Yeah. Now as this is partially undone, I'll take this out altogether if I can get it out. Unfortunately, it's got these silly 3-prong type screws in it. A bit of a pain to get out. This is just all been cable tied together. Typical late 90s, 2000s cable management. Cable ties was the cable management back then. This has just got a little 2-pin connector on it, this fan has. Down here. So it's got a 3-pin header on it, so whether that allows anything. And then these, you usually just press this metal clip downwards and then swing it slightly out towards the side, and then that should come up. I imagine there'll be some. Oh, it's on solid, that. I will break the. Try and twist it a little bit. No. Well, this has either been bonded on, or the silicone paste has dried on, and that's solid. I can get at the socket lever, so I'm just going to try and release it that way and see if we can see the numbers underneath. There we go. So this is actually an MMX CPU. Judging by the number, I'm guessing it's a 200 megahertz. 9295. Yeah, you can see on this that this is an MMX, because the MMX chips tended to have that gap around the edge of the chip, and you see here there's a gap you can see through, and that side, and there's a raise in the middle. I'm sure all the old original 486s and Pentiums were all just a solid lump of flat silicon. Yeah, so I don't know if that's bonded on or not, but it certainly doesn't want to come off, so I shall just leave it on. Drop that back in there. Get this clip back on. So usually you hook one side on, and then the other, this end, hook that bottom one on first, and then this one's got a bit of flexibility, so you can press it down and then swing that across, and it hooks over. A small bit of plastic on a plastic lug on the processor socket down there, and it's difficult to see really. Just get the fan plug back in. Memory wise, I've got a 16 meg EDO memory module, which stood for enhanced data out, I think. So these had a faster access time for reading than writing, I believe that's what it stood for. It's been a while since I've messed with this stuff, so rusty really. I've actually got quite a lot of these old memory modules that I've gotten hold of, and some that I've had for a long time that will need testing, so I shall be looking at those as well at some point. The board itself looks okay, none of the capacitors are bulging in any way. They all look in good shape, especially down here where the power comes in usually. This is where you'll see the bulging around where the power's being fed in around the processor. Yep. And this is something you'll also get on these old boards, is these little charts on the board for the jumper settings. So we've got there bus and core ratio for setting the multiplier, I think. Different bus speeds that you can set. Obviously all that's done from the BIOS on newer boards. So I'll get this back together and fire it back up. I've blasted this out now with the air compressor. That's loads better. The fan's all nice and clean, so it might actually do its job now. So we'll fire this up and have a look what's on it. So we've got Windows 95. It's quite a clattery, noisy PC, but they all wear this sort of noise at this age. Found out what was in the floppy drive that was rattling around. It was a piece of plaster. You can see probably on here. Not quite sure why there's a piece of plaster in the floppy drive, but yeah, so that's gone now, so hopefully that'll run a lot nicer. I've had this machine booted up before, had a bit of a look round on it. It keeps coming up with this net nanny thing. Maybe this was used by kids or something. There's quite a bit of software that's been left on here. So this is started up now. As you can see, it's pretty standard Windows 95. I remember when Windows 95 first came out, moving from this from 3.1 was absolutely brilliant. I just loved it straight away, all the new features. I know the copy I had, the original copy, I don't know if it was a beta, you could actually drag my computer into the recycle bin and it would actually trash the machine. I think it would try and delete all the files and system files, so then you couldn't restart the machine. It's quite funny really. But when it first came out, compared to 3.1, this was amazing, and it had proper multitasking as well, whereas 3.1 didn't. So we'll have a bit of a nosy round here. I do like 95. It's a nice OS. And 98 was okay eventually. I mean, it was a bit buggy at first. All versions of Windows always are. Yeah, all these classic icons, my computer, briefcase. I think that was some sort of document synchronization folder. Line 1, so that's an old, I think that's an old dial-up service. Not sure what Microsoft Family Pack is. Encarta 98. I used to have Encarta 95. I bought a multimedia kit, a creative multimedia kit. Came with a CD drive, Sound Blaster 16, and a whole load of CDs, and that was one of the ones in the kit. Yeah, so this is looking for the CD, so can't really start that. Microsoft Works 4. Microsoft Works was not a It was an alternative to Microsoft Office, much more simple in the end. Just see this, it's got like wizards to do things, so you can get a bit of guidance to just get a basic layout made up for you. A sort of an interactive template type system. Yeah, just create a document on here. Yeah, it wasn't a bad bit of software. It's just the fact that it was simple. You've not got too much on the toolbar. You could do extra things, but it was simple. For the average person, it was probably better than being done with Microsoft Word and its 5 million options and confusing formatting that does things that you don't want it to do. Yeah, not much else in there. Old Windows Media Player, an old QuickTime player. Connect to the internet. Because back in '95 that was more of a big thing. I think this might start dial-up networking or something. I'm not sure. Or maybe a list of options of, yeah, so this was a way to set up your dial-up, so you could fill in the phone numbers and whatnot, so that your dial-up connection could connect to your ISP and establish an internet connection via a modem. CompuServe, or CompuSpend as it used to be nicknamed. Inbox, that would be some kind of Microsoft Mail client. Yeah, it's not working. Let's see what else we've got on here. Excuse me. kzuck.net, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah, so again, when this first came out, all the tools and things that Windows 95 came with compared to 3.1, it was quite a big change. The old classics: FreeCell, Hearts, Minesweeper, Solitaire, Microsoft Chat. I don't think they ever used that. I don't know if that was a precursor to MSN, Microsoft Messenger. I don't know if that's a NetNanny thing there that's preventing that starting. I'm not really sure. Maybe this is something to do with the NetNanny. I'm not, or some kids security software. I'm not entirely sure. What else have we got? Classic multimedia player, sound recorder. Old system tools, defrag, drive space. If anyone remembers drive space, the old system monitor. Let's have a look at that. Not seen that in a while. What else have we got? Two accessories. Mouse is a bit jumpy on this for some reason. I'm going to blame the mouse anyway, not the operator. Yeah, defrag, NetWatcher, resource meter. What was that resource meter? Oh, so that was down here for you. Okay. Yeah, not quite the same as this thing. I don't know why that's 100% CPU usage. That's not normally a good sign. Yeah, drive space was a compression tool, so when you got a small hard drive you could compress some of the files on your system so that you've got more disk space available. It was sort of like a live zipping of files at file system level. I think it was available on Windows 3 and even DOS, I think. I think there was a version that kind of ran as a driver or something. So yeah, this machine's got it's only got a 4 gig hard drive in it. 1.5 gig used. So I'm not going to run that. Now obviously the trade-off is that it uses CPU time. What else have we got? Calculator, character map. Hyper Terminal, Microsoft Paint, the old Paint, which I'm pretty sure they took Paint out of Windows 10, or they started to charge for you to have to install it. It was like a paid for app or something. I think they did something similar with one of the media players as well, which is stupid really, because I mean, Paint, scribbling in Paint was one of the first few things you'd do as a kid, so just for a paint program, a basic paint program, it may be the new version's not so basic, but so what, you know, give the basic version regardless. It's, I don't know. QuickTime's installed. WordPad's got a calculator icon for some strange reason. Excuse me. Acrobat Reader 3. That's ancient. That's very ancient. Now Acrobat's just this massive bloated thing. Carmageddon. I've played Carmageddon 1. It was a good game, that. I'd like to get that again and have a go on it. No CD. So this is the thing you see with PCs around this sort of time. A lot of the time you would, with a game or a big program like Encarta, you would actually just install a small subset of the software onto the system, and then the rest is just pulled off the CD as is needed, because disk space was a lot more expensive back then. I mean, I remember probably 96, 97, a 3 GB hard drive costing nearly £200. So you know, you wouldn't want to then fill that up with the contents of a CD, because a CD would be about 600, 650 meg. So that's a good chunk of your £200 hard drive gone already. So that's one of the reasons CDs were so good then. There was a lot of space and you could just pull information off as it was needed. ClarisWorks, that was another good bit of software for the time. It was like a simplified office system. Nice and easy to use. I think this came out on Windows 3.1 as well. Or it was on Windows 3.1 before 95 and what I'd say near 1991. So this probably came out yeah, probably during the Windows 3.1 days. I don't know if there was ever a DOS version. Start a new document. So you've got drawer in Paint. Oh, so that's probably a vector graphics drawing. That's probably more bitmap based. You've got a spreadsheet, a database, communications, and a word processor at the top as well. I do seem to remember a friend of mine having ClarisWorks. There's some files on here, so I'm careful not to, or at least links to files. So it's just a basic, very basic, mostly menu driven office style package. Let's just have a quick look at the drawing program out of interest. Painting. Oh, so it's just a little drawing program. It doesn't look bad for the time. I mean, this obviously would have been a good step up from something like Paint with all the options you've got here, transformation options and formatting and stuff, and text insertion. So yeah, I don't think we'll bother saving that. Yeah, there's a CompuSpend. Not sure what these things are. Fast Forms. I think that was some sort of program to create paper-based forms for filling out, but Intel Connect, don't know what that is. Sort of antivirus, Internet Explorer related stuff, Internet News. Would that have been an RSS type reader back then? Internet News? Not sure. I bet this will get blocked anyway by the silly net nanny. Screens. Don't know. Lotus Smart Suite, Word Pro 97. Interesting. So this looks like another word processor-y, spreadsheety type alternative to Office by the looks of it, but by Lotus. Again, I don't think we'll save that masterpiece. Maxis, oh, Sims. Sims living it up. I don't know. It's not installed. I don't know how old that would be. Maxis, Sims. Yeah, I was thinking SimCity. Microsoft Family Pack. It's got Microsoft Works in it. Some games. Looks like these are installers of some sort. As you're in Carter. Microsoft Works. So it's probably something to demonstrate the MMX processor. Yeah, again, obviously this is all CD based software, NetNanny, QuickTime, not sure what RPA is, Shockwave, Home and Family. Bodyworks is something I had, that's like an anatomy type thing. I think that was given away free on a cover CD on one of the PC magazines many years ago. Think and Talk French, typing teacher. This works. I suppose there's not much to this though. Soft key. Yeah. Think and Talk French. Internet Explorer, the original one, or one of the original ones, IE5. Yeah, it's been blocked. This has got to be some kind of kid security software. Hard drive's really clattering away. Oh, that's crashed its way out. No, go away. Micrographics Media Manager, Windows Draw, Smart Picks, not sure what these are. Some sort of clip art. Oh, Lotus, that's part of the Lotus suite. So that'll be some kind of clip art manager for that. Again, this is some other clip art manager for one of the other bits of software that's installed on here by the looks of it. Micrographics Draw. $19.97. See, this software doesn't really look much now, but back then some of this software would have been amazing. So you've got different things you can make, greeting cards, multi-page posters, newsletters, brochures. Yeah. It's not a piece of software I've ever used, but I'm sure somebody has. can see where the folds are on the document, and I assume you can insert pictures and things, yeah, clip art. So, I mean, it's not very responsive, is it? But yeah, so you'd be able to just lay out some sort of system on here. You can insert objects like lines and probably boxes and circles and fill them and whatnot, and put text on. Yeah. Yeah, hello cake. Yeah. Yeah, this machine's it's only got 16 megabytes, so it's probably pushing it, even though it's only Windows 95. We're probably pushing a luck here. What I will do is look. Let's have a look on what the graphics card settings are. See if we can find out. Oh, so it's got 4 meg on it then, so that sounds right with the chips that are on there, the numbers on the chips. So really we should be able to get sort of SVGA true colour. I'll try it. Last time I did this I had to go into safe mode because I lost the image altogether. No, that's worked. Now we've got a bit nicer screen now, more colours. Obviously widescreen resolutions back in 95 were pretty much non-existent as the standard anyway. There may have been monitor profiles or something that allowed for that. I'm not sure whether the graphics cards or the drivers for the cards could do them. So we don't even have the option on these background to stretch. So we're probably better off with no wallpaper and just a solid colour if it will allow us to do it. Why anybody would want a green desktop like that is beyond me. That's better. Yeah, so that's a quick look through some old Windows 95 installation. Yep, that's it. I'll shut this down and call it a day.